knew I should have hired that guy for puns. Forget it. Fur Hire is a ferocious deck that can put a lot of fury onto the board, so before your opponent knows that they're getting scraped, just know that this deck goes to a higher plane than most have expected. I'm TheCaliEffect, and if you guys want to see more videos like this, then go ahead and destroy that subscribe button, but more importantly, go ahead and hit that notification bell because, well, we just too strong. Also want to give a special thanks to every single one of my Patreons. Without you guys, videos like this would not be possible. I also want to give a special thanks to our newest Patreon. Now, I hope I said your name right, or I say your name right. I was actually just talking to you on email, but I should have asked. Pierre YuGiOh, welcome to the clan, man. I really hope you enjoy your stay. And if your name has not been called yet, don't worry. We have a long list. It's actually looking really nice. I want to see if we can get 100 Patreons by the end of the year. That would be awesome. Without further ado, I present to you a competitive Fur Hire deck profile for this format. Okay, so going over quickly on the stats of Fur Hire, I think it's a pretty powerful deck. It takes a lot of people by surprise. Folgo Justice of Fur Hire is actually like exactly what the deck needed, and at first glance, it doesn't look good, but the longer you play the deck, the more you realize how Folgo can add so much consistency, power, and draw power. I think that this deck could top a regional level event, and even more importantly, it's a very, very cheap deck depending on how you do it. Of course, we are going to have those budget options, but starting off with the monsters, one thing I want to note is that we're going to do the way we place our cards a little differently. Let us know down below in the comment section if you prefer this way or the older way. 3 copies of Untitled Champion Fur Hire. Wow, this is the best big monster in the deck, 2800, or best big monster that Fur Hire has after the arsenal, 2800 attack. When he's summoned, you get the excavate cards from the top of your deck equal to the number of Fur Hire monsters, and then add one of them to your hand. So every time he's summoned by another Fur Hire monster, he's at least 1 free card from your deck to your hand. Another thing is that you can discard a Fur Hire monster to negate the activation of a monster. This goes for hand traps or monster effects activated anywhere. I think that he is the best Fur Hire monster in the deck besides Beat. We actually do follow it up with 1 copy of Wiz Sage Fur Hire. This card is actually a lot better than I expected as well. If you guys want to check out the duel video, there was a point in time where TJ actually summoned this card to gain a 2,500 life points, which is phenomenal. But even more importantly, Wiz has the ability to discard a Fur Hire monster or a monster Fur Hire to negate the activation of a spell or trap card. So it's really good against cards like Terraforming or even Raigekis or Monster Reborns. Anything that your opponent just wants to try to get off, it can completely stop. It's a very, very powerful card. We followed that up with 3 copies of Beat Bladesman Fur Hire. Beat is probably the best monster in the deck. He's the reinforcement of the army, if not Raphael. Basically, all the Fur Hire monsters have a clause that you can special summon a monster Fur Hire from your hand to your side of the field once per turn and only once that turn. And when a monster Fur Hire is special summoned to your side of the field, you can gain a certain effect. Beetle is the reinforcement of the army, allows you to search any monster Fur Hire from your deck to your hand, not any Fur Hire monster. Keep in mind, you got to say any monster Fur Hire because that's what the card said. Next is 3 copy Seal Strategist Fur Hire. This card is actually a lot better than what I see. Like, Fur Hire is deceptively underrated on how it goes about its combos and consistency. Seal allows you to add a monster Fur Hire from your graveyard to your hand, which actually combos really well with all of your monsters Fur Hire because you can summon them to your side of the field if you haven't already used their summoned effect. We follow that up with 2 copies of Bravo Fighter Fur Hire. When he's summoned, or when a monster is summoned while you control him, all your monsters Fur Hire gain 500 attack and defense. It's really good for pumping your your Raphael to 3,300. All of your little guys get a little bit stronger, and even more importantly, he's a 1,900 guy himself, so he can get pretty buff as a 2,400 attack monster. Next is 3 copies of Helmer Hellsman Fur Hire. This is probably the most furriest of them all. Like, alright, Captain, I'm serious, it's pretty bad. I've seen quite a few memes on this card, but basically, when a monster Fur Hire is summoned while she's on the field, you can discard 1 card Fur Hire to draw a card. She is essentially your upstart goblin-esque card, but it does work really well in tandem with Seal because Seal can then retrieve the card, and all you have to do is keep summoning Fur Hire monsters. Next is 3 copy of Dampa Marksman Fur Hire. This card's really powerful because it allows you to destroy face-up monsters when a monster Fur Hire is summoned. Also, keep note that it is a level 2 beast monster, so you can actually make number 64 Raccoon Sendeyu to your side of the field by using Dampas. We also followed up with 2 copies of Recon to really complement Dompa because they're both level 2 beast monsters to make that Sendeyu. And what Recon allows you to do is destroy face down cards, which is pretty prevalent inside of this meta, depending on if you're going against Paleo, Arctigeist, or decks like that. That's pretty much it for all of the monsters for hire. I believe it's 20 of those cards. We do follow it up with quite a few hand traps. We ran 2 copies of Droll-and-Lock. Droll-and-Lock is Droll-and-Lock, ladies and gentlemen. It's the best hand trap in the game, if you ask me. 2 copies of Effect Veiler. I feel like this is stronger than Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring right now because there are a lot of main monster effects just running around that's pretty prohibitive to the opponent. But of course, we still do run those 2 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. I actually decided to cut Solemn Strikes for an extra set of hand traps and another spell extender, and I don't really look back. I think Ash Blossom is still pretty good against generic decks. 2 copies of Ghost Ogre. This is probably the best hand trap in the deck. I would run 3 if Ghost Ogre wasn't once per turn, mainly because if you Ghost Ogre an opponent's monster when you control Folgo and some Fur Hire monsters, you get to draw 3 cards, so that's pretty insane. That's it for all of the hand traps at 8. I really felt that this deck needed 8 hand traps. I felt uncomfortable playing 6 because that's really the only thing you have to stop your opponent when they're going first. And this deck isn't amazing at breaking boards. For the spells, 2 copies of Pot of Desires. We probably should make a video on how free this card is for the players that don't understand that this card is probably one of the most powerful cards in the game, especially when you have decks that don't matter what you're banishing. It's not for every deck, but for a lot, it's pretty good. 2 copies of Mayhem for hire. Now, the reason why I only decided to run 2 copies of this card is because Mayhem for hire is a hard once per turn effect. Nonetheless, it's still good for triggering off your Fur Hire monster, summoning from your graveyard to your side of the field, and getting off their effects, as well as supplementing you with a Fur Hire monster in your turn. I just felt that 2 copies was more than enough because it was a hard once per turn, and I didn't want to draw 2 copies in my opening hand. After that, we run 2 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon. I decided with Mystical Space Typhoon over Cosmic Cyclone and Twin Twisters because Mystical Space Typhoon can actually still trigger Folgo, and the deck does struggle a little bit with dealing with back row heavy decks. I doubt that discarding with Twin Twisters was too much. Mystical Space Typhoon was good enough, and Cosmic Cyclone didn't, work with Folgo well enough, so there it is. 2 copies of Called by the Grave. This was actually another card I had to make room for, which wound up making me cut Solemn Strikes. Really good against hand traps, and Ghost Ogre Snow Rabbit is the bane of this deck's existence. So is Effect Veiler. 2 copies of Instant Fusion. This is an extender card. You're going to be able to make Folgo for hire without committing a normal summon, which is amazing for this deck. World Legacy Succession, another extender. To be honest, you guys could cut this for your 3rd copy of Mayhem, but I just like World Legacy Succession because it is a hard once per turn, but this plus Mayhem can be both activated in 1 turn, whereas 2 Mayhems can't do anything for you. 1 copy of Sky Striker Mecha Hornet Drones. I actually had to debate with myself, and I think if you guys really wanted to, let's say if you wanted to make Fur Hires the most competitive, running 3 Engage, Widow Anchor, and excuse me, Afterburner isn't bad at all. Now, I went this route for 2 reasons. First of all, you really only need the Hornet Drones. Secondly, nobody ain't got time to be running Engages in every deck. Thirdly, you don't necessarily need the Engages, while the Widow Anchor and the excuse me, I'm having a bad cough right now. While the Widow Anchor and the Afterburner does do a lot of work, Engages can be dead. It's another troll target. When you get trolled by them, you can't use beat. So there are downsides as well as upsides to using it. But if you guys do have the Sky Striker engine, which is 3 Engages, a Widow Anchor, an Afterburner, of course, Hornet Drones, I definitely consider it. This is also another free way for us to get Folgo without using our normal summon or a Fur Hire monster. 1 reinforcement of the army to add beat, and then Monster Reborn is our last extender. That is it for the spell cards. Our extra deck is kind of wonky. It's really interesting to play. For the Link 4s, wow, I'm terrible right now. For the Link 4s, 1 Borreload and Boral Sword. These are the best Link 4s in the game, hands down. I decided not to run Saryuja because, I guess you could. There's nothing wrong with running Saryuja. It's actually a pretty great card in there, but it just didn't come up enough for me to warrant running it. Not saying that it's a bad card. For Link 3s, only 2 copies of Folgo Justice for Hire. You guys could play 3 if you wanted to, but I just didn't see Folgo coming up at more than 2 for me to warrant a third one. I decided to drop it for another great card. Nightmare Phoenix spot removal, Chopologic Trisbana for back row removal, Cerberus and Phoenix for removal, Sky Striker, Ace Kagari, and Hayate. If you guys don't play Hornet Drones, I think that you're really missing out because, again, you can make Folgo without committing a normal summon, and this is the reason why. Link Kribo, 2 turn. Actually, I really need to make sure, just to be like 1000% confident. Yeah, sorry, just making sure. Hornet Drones does special summon as level 1. Sometimes you get in a situation where you don't want to use a warrior monster to make Folgo because Folgo can't summon the monsters that was used. So you turn your Hornet Drones into a Link Kribo and then you go from there. Raging, Thousand Eyes Restrict, and Kaminari Attack. These 2 cards serve a bigger purpose. Thousand Eyes Restrict can snatch your opponent's monster before you link it off into Folgo, and Invoked Raging can flip itself face down, worst case scenario, if your combo gets disrupted, or disrupt one of your opponent's monsters before you go. Kaminari Attack is actually the first monster that was instant fusion target that I could have found. Like, it can be anything. You can run the level 3 guy. I forgot his name from Legend of Blue Eyes. You can run him instead of Kaminari Attack. You don't need to run him. I understand that he's kind of an expensive card, especially since you don't need him in this deck, but it's literally just a monster that I can play in this deck that won't, like, Folgo can't summon. Like, I don't need a Thunder monster. I don't have any in the deck. And then lastly is 1 copy of number 64, Ronin Raccoon Sendeyu. Really, really powerful card. That's it for the main deck. I think that this deck is a lot more powerful than what people give it credit. It definitely has certain abilities to just overwhelm your opponent. Folgo in a full-fledged board is going to get you some type of advantage. It's a very advantageous card. The ability to draw 3 cards with 3 for hire monsters on the field is just insane. I'm telling you guys, I really think that for hire will take some people by surprise if played right. And Sendeyu is just, it's one of those niche cards. Excuse me, it always makes sure you can attack into a monster, crash into a monster for a token. But even more importantly, when this and Folgo are on the field, then you know, he can't be attacked because they have to get rid of the Folgo and the token first. That is it for the main board and the extra deck. Let me show you guys an insane combo I know you're going to love. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I really think you are going to love this 2 or 3 card combo. Now, the 2 card combo is going to get you Folgo Justice for Hire for free, and the only thing you're going to need is Sky Striker, Mecha Hornet Drones, and Instant Fusion. To make it a 3 card combo, add Beat Bladesman for Hire, and you can make an insane board. What you are going to do, excuse me, is activate your Sky Striker, Mecha Hornet Drones, special summoning a token to your side of the field. Next, you are going to use that token for a link summon into your Sky Striker Ace Kagari, adding your Sky Striker Mecha Hornet Drones back to your hand. Activate Mecha Hornet Drones to special summon the token back to your side of the field, and use Ace Kagari for another link summon into your Sky Striker Ace Hayate. Use the effect of Instant Fusion, paying 1,000 life points to special summon Thousand Eyes Restrict, and if your opponent has a monster, this would be a great time to use Thousand Eyes Restrict's effect. Now, there is one thing I want to talk to you guys about with Thousand Eyes Restrict, is that mainly you can't special summon a spellcaster if you go this method, but there is a way around it. You can actually use the Thousand Eyes Restrict for a link summon into your Link Karibo. Where did I put that Link Karibo? I just had it. Here you go. Into a Link Karibo, and now you can special summon a spellcaster monster to your side of the field. Not necessarily necessary unless you're trying to play Wiz. The next thing you're going to do is normal summon your Beat if you have it, and then use all 3 of these monsters for a link summon. Now, keep in mind, we can't summon a warrior, machine, or spellcaster monster when we summon Folgo, but we can still special summon a monster to our side of the field. I recommend special summoning Dampa or Recon, because if you combo it well enough with your Mayhem for Hire, you can get a destruction on your opponent's side of the field as well as draw 3 cards. Or if you combo it enough with any type of, you know, recursion or destruction, or I'm sorry, any type of destruction whatsoever, you'll be able to draw 3 cards. So that's going to trigger Beat's effect to add the Recon Scout for Hire. Use Recon's effect to summon itself to the side of the field. And then if you guys wanted to, you can use these 2 monsters for a link summon. This is just provided that I don't have any other cards on my side of the field. And to Sendeyu, use its effect detaching 1 material to special summon a token to my side of the field, effectively giving me not 3 for hires, but it's going to give me a Sendeyu, a token that's 2400 attack, a Folgo 2400 attack, and a Beats Bladesman. Now, you can rewind this combo a little bit further, and depending on what else you have in your hand, the combo does get a little bit extended. Let's say I summon Recon for hire, and instead of adding Dampa, I can actually add Rafael or even Wiz to my hand. Go ahead and use Recon's effect to special summon Rafael to your side of the field, and now you can excavate 3 cards to add from your deck to your hand, as well as have 3 for hire monsters on your side of the field to use Folgo's effect if you were to destroy a card. Coincidentally, Recon doesn't have to be Recon. It can be any other for hire monster. It's just that Recon provides that destruction. It can even be Bravo. It does not matter what other for hire monster you summon. It's really all dependent on the situation. But that is it for that combo. I'm going to show you guys one more combo and then we're going to head out, because I'm telling you guys, this deck is a lot better than what people think. Off of 3 cards, I got enough monsters on the board to get Folgo off. I got a search, I got another search, and I have a basically it's just a powerful combo. My opponent can't even troll and lock me in this combo because I only searched once and then I got the excavation from Rafael. The last combo I'm going to show you guys is a very fun combo. It only can work if you have, basically a handful of fur hires. You're going to need Beat Bladesman fur hire. You're also going to need Helmer and any other 2 fur hire monsters, or just get lucky off the excavation of your Rafael if you just so happen to have them. Go ahead and normal summon Beat Bladesman fur hire and use its effect to special summon Helmer to your side of the field. Beat's effect is going to add Sealed from your deck to your hand, and then use Helmer to special summon Sealed to your side of the field. Use the effect of Helmer to discard to draw 1 card. We're just going to say it's Rafael for all intents and purposes. Following up, we're going to use the effect of Helmer to special summon itself to our side of the field. Helmer to special summon Rafael to our side of the field, and then excavate a card and add it to our hand. Helmer's effect, Seal's effect is going to activate. What am I thinking? Seal's effect is going to activate, adding Dampa from our deck to our hand, and then from there, we're going to use all 3 of these monsters for a link summon into our Folgo Justice for hire. That's right. Folgo's effect is going to trigger to summon Recon to our side of the field. Recon can summon Dampa to our side of the field, and then we're going to use both of these monsters for an Exceed summon into our lovable guy, Sandeyu. Sandeyu to detach a token, and now you have a 2800 attack monster to your side of the field. Or you guys can rewind, keep the for hire monster in your hand, and instead of that, you can special summon Wiz Sage for hire to your side of the field, and now you have a way to negate an opponent's spell card or negate an opponent's monster, as well as an excavated card in your hand, and hopefully a fur hire and a Dampa, which means you'll be able to negate both. Thank you guys so much for watching another segment of the TheCaliEffect. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and give it a like, and if you didn't, let us know down below in the comment section what we could do to be better. Please like, comment, subscribe, but most of all, enjoy. I hope you guys are having a great day, like I am.